I gotta be honest with you. I believe the Republican Party is deeply corrupt. And today, we got the latest example of that. GOP members of the Senate voted overwhelmingly in support of a bill that would speed up and expand offshore oil drilling, even though experts say that such a move has almost nothing to do with lowering gas prices. But what it does do is make those oil companies much richer. Speaking of which, this comes one day after Senate Republicans blocked an attempt to repeal $21 billion in subsidies for the big five oil companies. This is part and parcel of what the GOP is these days. They're corporate robots. To further prove that point, they're furiously trying to repeal all regulations on the banks right now so they can make even more money by taking wild risks and endangering the whole economy. Now, why would they do that? Well, in 2010 alone, GOP Congress members received more than $58 million in contributions from the financial industry. They are not your representatives. They are the representatives of the multinational corporations who buy them. But as corrupt as the GOP is, it's about to get worse. Now Republicans are trying to solicit unlimited contributions from a so-called Super-PAC. Now here's how it works. Say a candidate approaches a wealthy donor to contribute to their re-election campaign. Under federal law, that person can only get $2,500 to the candidate. In the past, that's the end of the conversation. But under the new plan, the candidate could ask that same donor to pony up an unlimited amount of money to the Republican Super-PAC. Now, the donor could specify that all that money be spent supporting the particular candidate or attacking their opponent. Then the Super-PAC could buy ads, send out mailings, and all the other things that a political campaign does. So if it wasn't clear enough that our politicians were bought before, this will make it super clear. They will literally be working for the highest bidder. It's a disaster in the making. Let's see if anyone can stop it. We're going to talk to independent senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, who I know is not in favor of the Super-PAC. So first, Senator Sanders, how do you stop it? If, you know, it looks like they're on a steamroller and they're heading in that direction, the more money they have, the more misleading ads they can run. How do you get in front of it?
Well, in this particular case, Cenk, I think the lawyers are going to have to take a hard look at it because it certainly violates the spirit of existing campaign finance law, as weak as that law currently is. Because what you're having is the RNC setting up another organization with the same members that exist in the RNC to violate the limits on campaign contributions and to be able to bring in huge amounts of money without any transparency, to do it in secret. That is a violation of the law. So I think the lawyers are going to take a hard look at that. But the deeper issue is, as you've just articulated, is that big money owns and controls much of what takes place here in the United States Congress. We had a bad situation before. Since Citizens United, the situation is much, much worse. And in a variety of ways, we have to take apart Citizens United. We need to pass legislation to minimize what it is doing. And at the end of the day, we're probably going to have to pass a constitutional amendment which makes the radical brings forth the radical opinion that, guess what, a corporation is not a person and that a handful of billionaires cannot pollute and take over the political system by spending unlimited sums of money in secret in order to elect candidates who support their agenda.
I couldn't possibly agree more with you on that front. I do want to discuss the legal issue a little bit more. The guy who's leading this for the Republicans is a guy named James Bopp Jr., and he's the one that created the 527s in the first place. Those are the nonprofit groups that do the attack ads. He's the one that brought the Citizens United case in the first place, and he's the one that's pushing the Super-PAC. And to your point about how it might be illegal, well, here's what he said. Who cares? The Supreme Court doesn't care, and I don't care. The FEC, which is the Federal Election Commission, doesn't care. No one that matters cares. Wow, what a quote. But you know what? Is he right about that, Senator Sanders? I mean, he's got 5 conservatives on the Supreme Court. If it goes there, is he saying, well, we're going to win anyway? It doesn't matter what's right or wrong.
Well, the answer is we got to give him credit for his incredible arrogance and for his contempt for the political process and for his belief that, in fact, the Supreme Court with a 5-4 vote is there to protect big money interests. I'm not so sure that he is right. Even the Supreme Court I think, may take a hard look at this and rule that it is absolutely in violation of existing campaign finance law. I think in this case they may have gone too far. But at the end of the day, the point that he is making is saying money runs everything and we can't be stopped. And you're asking me how ultimately we fight back against that. Well, the way you fight back effectively is through grassroots organizing. These guys may have billions of dollars, they may have a Supreme Court, they may be able to attract the money from the Koch brothers and other billionaires. But if we can build a strong grassroots movement of politically conscious people who understand that the function of government is to represent working people and the middle class and not billionaires, you know what, we can beat them. And I think one of the important points that we now have is to make it very, very clear how corrupt the system is, to what degree the billionaires and large corporations are manipulating the campaign finance system in order to give tax breaks to the rich, in order to continue unregulated free trade, in order to deregulate Wall Street and the oil companies and environmental protection laws. So I think their arrogance may be something that we can effectively use against them.
Senator Sanders, I think that the system is corrupt, as I explained and as you agree. But I want to get into a little bit more specifics. I believe the Republican Party is a wholly owned subsidiary of these corporations. I don't think they are honest actors. I don't think they think, oh, well, how about this drilling law? How's it going to affect the American people? How about these oil subsidies? How's it going to affect the American people? I think they only care about how it affects their bottom line. Do you think that's accurate?
Well, let me say this, and I speak as an independent, and that is the longest standing independent in the history of the United States Congress. I think that at this particular point, not all, but many Republicans are doing what they are doing, not for these great philosophical reasons, but for the fact that what they do can attract huge sums of money. You can get money from Wall Street when you talk about deregulating Wall Street and not bringing back Glass-Steagall, for example. You get money from the oil companies when you talk about continuing to give them these tax breaks despite the fact they make billions in profits. You get money from the military-industrial complex if you continue to support large military budgets in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. So if you're asking me, are their feelings just philosophical and not related to the money that's coming in and their dependence on big money and corporate interest, I would think you are right. But as an independent, to say that it is only the Republicans and not any Democrats, I think would be inaccurate. I think there are a number of Democrats who you can make that charge against as well.
Oh, I'm really glad you said that, because I couldn't agree more. I think it affects the Democratic Party significantly as well. I think the only difference is, in my opinion, the Republicans are wholly bought by the corporations. The Democrats are partly bought by the corporations. And look, just a quick example to the audience. Blue Dog Democrats, a lot of them lost in the last election. A third of them are already lobbyists, working for the same corporations that they supported while they were in the House. And those are Democrats.
I think the better example is the middle class today is collapsing, poverty is increasing, and the rich are getting richer. And what you are seeing from the Republicans, for example, are tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. Oil company profits are soaring. They're protecting the tax loopholes for the oil companies. They are working day by day by day for the interest of the wealthiest, the most powerful people. The needs of the middle class and working families are not being heard at all. In fact, as you well know, the budget that passed the House is going to decimate Medicaid, voucherized Medicare, huge cuts to education, environmental protection, and the needs of our kids. So this is a party that is there to protect the interests of the wealthy and the powerful. We need to educate, we need to organize, we need to defeat them, we need to put pressure on those Democrats who are also indebted to corporate interests.
Absolutely. We've got to fight back, and one guy leading the fight is Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. Really appreciate your time tonight.
Good to be with you.